On the ship I remain, I remain. All right, man. What's up? What's happening? It's Uncle Makara, all relations. Let's get started today. Talking about a very important topic. Thank you, Mathis, for sharing because it's a very interesting deep dive that we're going to be doing. And it's a topic which I don't think a lot of people know how to confront. I remember this scene in the Logan Paul podcast. It was Impulsive, right? Where Sadhguru was there. I don't know if you guys remember that episode. Highly recommend it because he points out the difference between belief and knowing in that podcast. And I think it's very interesting. He's saying that, do you believe you have two hands? Or do you know that you have two hands? Right? And I think this is a very important distinction that we've got to make as savage shamans because we got to bring it back to the source. We got to understand its true original meaning. Okay. And I think then we'll start to see the deeper layers that start to form. So here we go. Opening up the whiteboard, but also before I get into this, I am going to set the audience so you guys can comment and share it with the tribe. Get it. Let's get it. Let's get it forward. Okay. So let's add belief on one side. Okay. Belief on one side. And knowing on the other side. Okay. Okay. So first of all, let's see it like this. Let's see the differences. And we can get into a lot of debates around this if you want, but that's not my main point. My point is to make a point, okay? So that other people start to understand this in a much greater depth, in a greater way. So it's up to you, okay? If you want to fight back, okay, go ahead. It's probably your beliefs and not your knowing. Okay. So one thing we understand is that beliefs are fleeting. Yes. You can change your beliefs. Whereas with knowing, when you know something, it doesn't change, does it? Right? Like once you know you came from your mom and dad, okay, they were there before you. You can't change that belief all of a sudden, right? No, I was adopted. No, I was taken overseas. Another family found me. Okay, you can try to lie to yourself with a belief, but it's not going to change that knowingness. This is where the fine line is also because knowing is also stretching into the psychic sense of claircognizance, which is a clear knowing. Okay. So knowing is not necessarily just what we call knowledge. Okay. This is also a very slight nuance that we have to discuss. So Sadhguru said, you know, saying I don't know is a tremendous possibility. And for a lot of people, they always need to be right. I need my ego to be validated right now. So comes from trust and opinions. the other from experience and awareness. Are we seeing this, guys? Are we understanding this? Okay, give me a thumbs up if you're feeling me right now. Okay. So what's the definition of a belief, right? A definition of a belief is a position or opinion about what a person thinks to be the best or right thing. Okay. Now, I'm not saying don't be opinionated. You got to stand up for yourself and do things in the 3D world and, understand everybody brings up the topic of limiting beliefs, right? That's so uh basically a norm in the spiritual communities, if you ever, or the personal development field, right? Limiting beliefs, rewire your beliefs. But it's often formed when one doesn't know the truth, but assumes it to be true. So, holding on to beliefs, right? Holding on to beliefs can lead to inner restlessness and mental rigidity. Have you noticed this, guys? Because this is what I've noticed. This is what I've noticed. All right. This is a deep thought. So beliefs become the mental walls. Okay. They become the mental walls that we have to walk through, that block insight. Okay. And of course, knowingness creates insight. Insight, internal sight. Okay. So knowledge is based on proven facts. Okay, we know this. Knowing is objective usually, and beliefs are subjective. That's going into a whole other debate, right? Of objective versus subject, which is the truth, which is the, real reality. Is everything subjective, or some things objective and nothing is subjective? Like, what is the truth, right? Well, if you understand it also from a spiritual standpoint, emptiness is a lack of inherent existence, right? So nothing exists inherently by itself. It exists in relation to other things. So beliefs are opinions formed in the absence of certainty, right? Formed in the absence. There are opinions formed in the absence of uncertainty. Whereas knowledge is like the verified truth, right? This is blue check mark. This one is okay. So then we know the danger of rigid beliefs, right? As we're seeing this, we're understanding the danger of rigid beliefs, which is fixed beliefs can make life way more challenging and actually prevent your personal growth, right? Unchecked beliefs can misalign with a deeper conviction or basically causes internal conflict, right? So there can be a lot of people manipulating you through belief. Fearful beliefs can be exploited to control individuals, as we've seen a lot of cults and so forth, right? Shared fearful beliefs within groups can limit free thought and increase susceptibility to control. It's easier to keep beliefs fluid, right? And treat them as temporary placeholders. So there is value in admitting when you don't know, instead of hastily forming a new belief. Because in that process of not knowing, you begin discovery mode. Curiosity forms. And you really start to learn what is the truth of this. Belief can be helpful when trust is needed in others or when facing uncertainty. However, we can replace the belief with knowledge as more information becomes available to us. Okay? So we've got to examine beliefs that involve fear or control to ensure that they align with truth and free thought. So that means we can go down base here. Belief is not truth, it's a placeholder. Okay? Woo! Dang. But here's the problem. When beliefs solidify, they become these rigid mental walls, and these walls block these insights, creating more friction, so they stop us from flowing with life. They hold us back because we cling to what we assume rather than what we seek, what is real. Here's another one. When you know there is no debate. So understand that when you're debating, when you're arguing with someone, there's constantly a back and forth of opinions, right? Opinions clashing, trying to make sense of which is the right. But when you know, there's no need for argument or debate, okay? Or conflict. Because there's a deep internal knowingness, a stillness, and look, belief is like holding on to the raft in the ocean, and knowing is realizing that you can swim as well, right? You know, in the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, they didn't say, they said, don't say that I can't afford it. Ask, how can I afford it? Right? So knowing ultimately is what gives you spiritual authority. Okay? And it's not your spiritual authority, it is God's spiritual authority. So it goes from confidence to Godfidence. When you know, you no longer feel the need to defend, justify, convince others of something, because your presence alone communicates the truth. So knowing is unshakable. Okay? And this is not necessarily about religion. I'm not bringing this into a religious debate, but we can go there. But what I am telling you is beliefs waver, they fluctuate. Knowing is unshakable. Okay? I love what Mathis said, my human, right? He said, my human believes. A human does not know, and that's fine. Okay? So let the human mind relax and let the God mind activate. As you drop into the awareness of your God consciousness, you know everything you need to know exactly when you need it. And this is spiritual freedom, where you no longer live by mental opinions. but you're living by the authority of direct knowing. She, okay? Absolute based topic right now. Give me a thumbs up, guys. You've got to shift from the mind's need for control to the soul's acceptance of truth. This is the journey, okay? This is the journey that you're taking on. You have to shift from the mind's need for control to the soul's acceptance of truth. Can I control? Can I keep myself? Listen, you guys understand the play creates results, correct? Because you're experimenting with it, you're fucking around, you're trying new things, you're exploring, you're being curious. That's how you're gonna win. That's how you're gonna get the results. But a lot of people say, don't play, work hard. Work hard and then you'll get a result. That's just somebody else's belief. Do you know that to be true? That if you just work hard, you'll get everything you want in life. Isn't that a cop-out thing for parents to say from back in the day? Okay, just work hard. You just gotta study. Just put your head down in the books, and then you'll know what's good for you. Okay? Really? Okay. What about that playfulness? I really feel sadness for adults who did not have that sense of playfulness in youth. They just had to be serious all the time. They had to take on extra responsibility, had to take care of their siblings. They had to be the man of the house at a very young age. I feel bad for people like that, because I didn't have that. I actually explored my childhood to the extreme. And I allowed myself to stay in that imagination. That's why I'm such a creative adult. How am I able to make these consistent videos? Right? I kept that inner child alive in me. Right? And so this playfulness, you start to understand it differently when you know. Hey, when you know the truth of it all. Yeah, sure, we need the riverbed as well as the river, right? We need the structure, the certainty. But knowing is that structure. Do you know you're a good person, or do you believe you're a good person? Believing you're a good person doesn't mean anything. It could change in a day, right? So why did I bring this up? I think it's really key and crucial because this is the way that we see patterns, rituals in the metaphysical world and the physical world plays the way we say rituals. Okay. It's the way we ritualize something. We make something more sacred than it is through the eyes that perceive it. Okay. So through this playfulness, we're starting to explore deeper layers of truth. So isn't this just a truth versus falsehood? Which is funny because belief is a personal conviction or trust in unseen truths, right? It's originally a very positive word. The etymology of belief is, I believe I can't pronounce the word, gelifa, something like this, right? This is the word etymology. It means faith or trust. But if you know the word know, comes from the word gnosis. Okay. Gnosis is realization, to be aware, the spiritual insights, the downloads that you get. So the original sense of knowing was not just intellectual, the original sense of knowing was experiential, right? It was a state of awareness gained through a direct experience of that. So in essence, even the word educere, right? Yeah. This is the real meaning of the word education, guys. Education means to manifest. Now, this is going to blow your mind because you thought, I'm out here watching law of attraction videos. I just read The Secret. And are you educated? Which means, is there something within you that was inspired, that something was let out of you, something was summoned out of you? You were being invoked by something, some piece of information, something that you read, some poem, some imagery, some light code. That's education. Educate over medicate in the beginning, right? So educare, educere means to train or to mold or to lead out or to draw out or to manifest, to form what is formless. Now that we know this changes our paradigm as flow state shamans, right? This completely flips the whole world upside down like Fresh Prince. Because we've been looking at the education system not as a manifestation system, but as an indoctrination system, correct? And that too was formed by early on what? Beliefs. Beliefs that we didn't deal with. Beliefs that we never explored. You see, in essence, knowing something comes from recognition, right? It comes from a personal understanding. This means knowing something is a deeper connection with reality, not an escape from reality. Too many people are relying and depending on their beliefs just to get by. You guys agree with me? Look at the many people that you know. How many of them are trapped by their own stubborn beliefs? How many of them are closed up just because they believe something has to be that way? And or someone sold them some weird reality of how it has to be. And they just blindly step into that, right? Gullibly. They just believe anybody, right? I just believe them. Did you know? I don't know. Well, yeah, you didn't know. You see, knowing carries a spiritual authority as knowing is grounded in lived truth. It's not this abstract opinion that I can just formulate, right? So that means belief is rooted in emotional trust, okay? With origins in faith, maybe some could say wishful acceptance, okay? But knowing is derived from recognition, recognizing, coming back to the cognition again. Derived from recognition and direct experience, emphasizing awareness over making, formulating, and fabricating storylines, right? But this is also, the beliefs are also the reason why the law of assumption works, right? Because that's a belief. But we're assuming in that, and we know the formulation of how much beliefs affect us in the physical 3D world. But what if we also transform those beliefs into a knowingness that we could give ourselves some kind of a reminder a self-assurance, okay? A trust where we wouldn't need to rely on something that somebody else told us and we just believe in it. So think of like, okay, so think of it like this, guys. This is going deep into the mysticism too. So check it, okay? Belief is a mental construct. Okay? It's a mental construct. It's a story we create when we lack experiential knowledge in something. Oh, yeah, those guys are lazy. Have you been in our experience? Are you on the path of Primal Sutra, or are you looking from afar, judging and classifying? Oh, yeah, that person is weak. Let me ask you this. How do you know? How do you know? Yeah, but I can't do that. How do you know? With this one question, you can stump anybody who's in the world of belief. Okay? That's a deeper topic. It goes more meta. How do we believe and know that we know and all that stuff, right? Your knowledge, epistemology, okay, all that stuff. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, how do you know? You're telling me you're the shit. How do you know? Oh, I got this thing. I got this ego validation. I got this other ego validation thing. Also, I got this other thing, and that kind of makes me feel a little bit validated. But also this other thing that's kind of more so gaining approval, and I guess it's another form of ego validation. Okay. All you're mentioning is from the mind, the mental intellect. I'm not hearing your soul. I'm not actually experiencing your soul because it's trapped underneath all of these projections. A projection of what you want to be true that's formed when you're trapped underneath the maze of thoughts and these habits that you form. So beliefs are not inherently good or bad. There are cycles. Like loops in a maze, they keep us stuck in certain habit patterns. So when we rely on a belief, listen, guys, this is huge. This is huge. It's going to break the internet. When we rely on a belief, we feed these dense lower emotions and energies, reinforcing in our human selves, our false sense of self, our personas, the character in the game of our own making. And this mental construct of belief, or egregore, becomes the mask we wear, the temporary identity that prevents us from accessing our deeper, inherent, higher truth. So belief is not knowing. Again, it's a placeholder we use when our mind refuses to admit that it does not know. Okay? Belief is not truth, it's a placeholder. All right? Man, it's powerful, right? Now let's talk about the embodiment of spiritual authority. Knowing is the direct experiential awareness that comes from alignment with your higher consciousness. Knowing comes from God consciousness within. Within. You're not praying to some outside power. It bypasses the mind, bringing certainty and spiritual authority. So when you know, there's no debate, no second guess, right? Knowing feels like you're riding the wave of the universe. Someone asked me this the other day. How does knowing feel like? Feels like riding the wave of the universe, flowing with synchronicity, where no actions require force, only intention. So you're in the zone, you're living in the zone. You're free from the shackles of the mind and the thinking mind. When you know, you stop thinking. You simply move. Right? Isn't this a secret to no mind? Okay. Isn't this a secret to no mind? Or empty mind? Pure knowing. Not needing to crave or seek or feel like something is lacking or missing. Then you're going to keep constantly chasing it. So if the body and mind, right, are these dual components, like hardware, we are the hackers. We are the spirit hackers. Your body, with its memory and habits, believes in cycles, like birth. But these cycles are illusions, illusions of samsara. To escape these loops, you must transcend belief and embody know. So the mind is like a maze, right? It's going to create new paths, thoughts, judgments, new dualities to face, new things to compare to each other. Okay. Thinking will cause you to activate your fear-based response or reptile brain, causing you to go more backwards into your primal states. And the more you think, the more you disconnect from your higher awareness through thoughts, through this barricade of thoughts, right? It's distracting you from presence, keeping you stuck in the mind, away from the physical body. It's no wonder you don't like your physical body, because you haven't been aware with it, right? You haven't been fully aware and embodied with it. Because if you already know, what's the need to think about it, bro? If you already know something, why are you coming up with all of these questions? The question has the answer in itself already, because it's the same level of thinking that that problem was being shown. But I'm showing you that the area is where the question comes from. The uncertainty, the hesitation, the feeling of lack, like I don't know enough about this topic. Maybe I need to learn a little bit more in order for me to then take action. No, you need to know. Okay, let's talk about egregores. Okay, this is a good definition, I think, and let's stick with this one for now. Okay, so an egregore or egregore is a mental entity, also known as a tulpa, also known as thought forms, okay, whatever you want to call it. It's a mental entity formed by the collective or personal beliefs. Okay, so it acts like a mask, an identity you construct to fit into this reality. What are my egregores? Is ways that I define myself, right, or see myself. I might see myself as a sage, and that becomes an egregore. I might see myself as Uncle Makara, that becomes an egregore, right? But I have to transcend the lower reality, and I must challenge and dismantle this egregore too. So the identity that your beliefs have built, you got to challenge it. And this is a process that feels very uncomfortable, right? Because it requires you to break habits, release attachments to the familiar. That's like uncertainty, man. Not a lot of people are okay with that. A lot of people crave uncertainty. I love the variety and going into the chaos and moving with it and illuminating the chaos so that it can help me. But that takes a tough ass mind, right? So you got to really move with this kind of next level of mental resilience with this, because the key is breaking free. The key is moving beyond duality, to stop labeling experiences as good or bad, black and white. Life is a flow. It's not a judgment. I'm not here to deconstruct the whole world and put it into boxes. Hey, I'm here to flow with it, baby. I'm not trying to change the maze. I'm rising above the maze and looking at the ridiculousness of the maze design. I'm just rising above it. I'm transcending. So riding the current is the path to sovereignty, guys. You got to ride the current. You can't get off the board all of a sudden. Yeah, life will do it for me, you know? Just sit on the sail, or whatever, and the cosmic ship is on this current, and then it takes you away somewhere. You're like, fuck, why did I end up here? Well, you just let it go, bro. Life is like sailing cosmic ship. Okay. I'm gonna take a trip on my favorite rocket ship. The stars, the waves, and the energy all move in patterns when you align with the currents. Then you move effortlessly. Then you move in the zone. And there's no need to row against the tide. Because when you're aligned with your inner knowing, you flow with the synchronicity, right? Life unfolds naturally without any kind of a force or push. It's like, why are you trying to constipate your results, right? Like why are you trying to push your results out? This is the secret to building wealth and sovereignty. You attract the current that is needed to sustain your goals. True mastery lies in knowing when to act and when to wait. I know when it's blank season, for instance. Now it's shadow work season. Now it's golden shadow work season. Now it's this season. Now it's that season. Yes, the sky, like the universe, guarantees that, like every point, will eventually align in its time. So the false matrix that we live in, a shadow matrix, denies us access to our metaphysical knowledge. It denies us access to that. That's a big part of this spiritual war. Is you guys aren't being told or taught any of this stuff, especially not in school, right? Imagine if school taught you the things that would really help you in the real world. Man, what an incredible world that would be, huh? Schools taught you how to have proper relationships with masculine and feminine polarity. Schools taught you how to get rid of emotional gunk from your chakra so that you feel free and aligned, and you can improvise and feel authentic in life and not just like you're stuck in some hamster wheel, right? But instead, like the education system distracts us with fear and external systems of control. But the truth is, and you know this truth, man, you are the central character in this game. You have the power to sail your own ship and navigate through the maze. And you got to become more aware, more conscious of what you are doing, what you are saying, how you are being. Because the more you understand that you are more than the mental construct you've created for yourself, you're way greater than that. And your power lies not in believing, but in knowing. Believing what somebody else has told you keeps you stuck in external systems, but knowing frees you from the need to conform. So once you realize that this life is temporary, right, and part of a larger journey, then you can begin to play joyfully without fear. Because you know that leaving this place is inevitable. So while you're here, why not leave a fucking streak across the sky, right? Why not leave a legacy behind? Why not leave something where the future generations can thrive and they can latch on to these concepts and learn from it, right? And allow themselves to transform themselves to the greatest version of themselves. So how do we go from belief to knowing? These are my final thoughts, okay? So give me any questions if you guys are resonating or whatever's coming up. Mathis, thank you for the topic. Okay. So think about it like this, right? Hey, bro, belief are your like training wheels. Okay. Once you start to raise in your consciousness level, right? And you start to perceive the world differently from the different levels of the celestial penthouse, as we were talking about, right? Then we start to understand that it's not the end of the journey. It just gets you started, right? It gets the ball rolling, in a sense. But knowing is the destination. Okay. So to get there, you've got to silence the mind. Have practices to silence the mind. Okay. One thing, which is force, is take a huge bucket of ice or whatever. Okay. Just put your face in the ice and all your thoughts are shut down in that moment, right? Or what? You do something unconscious, like let's say an orgasm. Right after an orgasm, you can't think. There's nothing in your mind, right? It's just blank. Now I'm not saying go and start gooning everywhere, but booming and gooning. But what I am saying is there is a benefit to silencing the mind, to release the judgment and the constrictions and aligning with the wave of universal consciousness. So stop clinging to these identities built on belief. They're just these temporary masks, right? Mask off, fucking mask off. Tap into God consciousness. Then you can ride the game with ease. You're now in the current. You're playing the game fully, knowing that you're here for a reason. Knowing, not believing you're here for a reason. You're destined to leave the game at some point. So you are the sailor of the ship. Navigate it with knowing, not belief. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me today. Now let's get on a wave. Let's sail freely and leave our fucking mark, because there's nothing greater than moving through life with the power of knowing. It reawakens our spiritual authority. It makes us understand that we're here to manifest. True education is manifestation. And that once we can understand that knowing comes from gnosis, and these egregores you got to confront, that you believe, that you've created for yourself. And you got to unmask them like a Scooby-Doo villain and understand knowledge is the only verified truth, man. It's factoids. It's not guesswork. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. I think this was a very good topic, deep dive, and very empowering for people to know. I wrote it like this because, gnosis and lie, right? The word lies, I believe. B, lie, F, okay? You've got to believe me, right? We can't even persuade anyone like that. You've got to believe me, man. The second one is like, you got to know me. Woo! Just hear the difference, even in just the language, right? I know I changed the fluctuation of the voice or whatever, but isn't this just a power to saying, I know, right? Like like a slight smirk, an inner knowingness, the Taoist smile across your entire organs and entire body. I know. I know. Beautiful. And also the same level of beauty in, I don't know. Rest in them. You can say that. You're allowed to say that. I don't know. Okay. It's beautiful once you realize it. Real eyes with your real eyes, not the false persona goggles on. Okay. Let's get it. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Have an incredible day. May the flow be with you. Stay legendary. Give this a like, thumbs up, share with a friend. Join the tribe, join the Telegram group. We are going to New Zealand. I'm finalizing all these things, tickets, the visa stuff. Hopefully it's all going to get wrapped up and it's going to be good, man. Yesterday I was doing some rituals for New Zealand as well. Very, very powerful ones. So that's going to activate within this week too. So you're going to feel this like really vibrant energy right now. And the veil is thinning. So stay protected, stay clean, and stay evolving in every single way. Yeah. Okay. By knowing truth. Let's get it. Upward spiral game. May we never